I don't want to do this. Oh God. I just have to do it. Alright. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna f***ing die. Oh, it's just... Oh my God. There's honestly nothing good that I can say about that. First time ever, I don't think I can eat that. Hi everyone, my name's Jake. Welcome to the Kitchen Scrap, where I'm currently challenging myself to learn to survive on British World War II rations for an entire year.
You haven't started anything naughty without me, have you?
Hello again, friends. We're back at it again. Now, are you ready to run amok? Amok. Because that's precisely what we're going to be doing today. As you can probably tell from the introduction to the video, you're about to witness the worst thing that I have ever eaten in my entire life. So that's something to look forward to. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today and let the cooking speak for itself. Enjoy! While in fact it is the evening time, when the real me comes alive, we're going to prepare a somewhat unconventional breakfast. Recently I was rewatching some of Ration book Rebecca's videos, and in one of them she was talking about having a nice warming soup for breakfast. Now, given I'm not really a breakfast kind of guy, I kind of like the sound of this and thought I might give it a go. And any leftovers can always be eaten for lunch or dinner. So we're going to be making borscht. Now, to the best of my recollection, I'd never tried borscht before. Don't try that joke at home, kids. Leave it to the professionals. Until this very day, 1 year ago, and it was absolutely delicious. Now, today's borscht recipe can be found in
Marguerite Patton's Feeding the Nation.
For this recipe, you will need 1 ounce of dripping or margarine, 1 large raw beetroot, peeled and grated. I've got 2 beetroots at the moment, so we're just going to chuck them both in. 2 potatoes, peeled, chopped or grated, 1 carrot, 1 onion, 12 ounces of cabbage, 2 tomatoes, which I don't actually have, it's going to be fine, 2 bay leaves, water or stock, salt and pepper, a pinch of mixed herbs, and of course some chopped parsley. Now, I was working from home today, so I took advantage of that fact and went ahead and made a delicious homemade vegetable stock using all of my kitchen veggie scraps that I've been saving in my freezer for the past few weeks. And that is going to form the base of our borscht. So, let's get cooking. So here are all the lovely ingredients that we're going to be using. I've already chopped up 12 ounces of cabbage because I used the rest of it in the lunch recipe, which has already been filmed at this stage. We've got 1 onion, 2 beetroots, 2 potatoes, 2 carrots. I'm going to use an extra one because I can. Got some lovely fresh parsley, and I have a whole bunch of celery that needs using up as well. So I'm just going to get all of these vegetables prepped now. I have Sense and Sensibility playing in the background. It's going to be a good time, and I'll see you in a jiffy. Okay, so all of the veggies have now been prepped. We have our lovely homemade vegetable stock. In this bowl, we've got the celery, potato, carrot, and cabbage, onion, parsley, and beetroot. I wanted to keep some of these separate because we're going to fry off the onion and the beetroot first. Now, I adore beetroot, but I always forget how freaking messy it is to prepare. Your kitchen always ends up looking like you've just butchered your enemies. The Texas Beetroot Massacre. So I'm just going to heat up a little bit of oil in the pot, and we're going to start cooking this beautiful, vast array of gorgeous vegetables. So we're going to start by cooking down the onions a little bit first. Now we're going to add the beetroot.
Blood.
Give this a stir. Now the recipe says to cook down the beetroot for 5 minutes before adding the rest of the vegetables. Now the recipe also states that we need to cook this soup down for at least 2 hours.
What? No, I'm sorry, I don't think so.
Half an hour, 40 minutes max should be fine. This already smells really yummy. It's been about 5 minutes now, so I'm just going to add the rest of the vegetables. Look how gorgeous all of these colors are. It's so beautiful. Okay, now we're going to add our lovely stock. A few bay leaves. Mine are quite small and kind of broken up, so I'm adding 4 pieces. Give it a stir. So I'm just going to put the lid on now and let this come to a boil. I'll check it periodically because we'll probably have to scrape off some scum. I think because we've finally chopped and grated all of the vegetables, it really isn't going to take that long to cook. I'll see you when it's finished. Okay, so it's been on the stove for about half an hour now. I'm going to give it another 10 minutes, but next we are going to season it. So about 2 teaspoons worth of salt, some pepper, some oregano, to you. Little bit of rosemary, little bit of thyme. So I'm just going to keep it on the stove for another 10 minutes to let those flavors settle in, and then we're done. Okay, that is done. So we're just going to finish it off with some fresh parsley. I love parsley so much. It smells so good. I did taste a little bit of the broth earlier and it needed a little bit more salt, but now it's time for the final taste test. That's really, really good. The cabbage still has a bit of crunch to it, which I think it needs. Absolutely delicious, guys. Also, I barely had any scum to scrape off cooking this, so that was a bonus. So there you are, everyone. Marguerite Patton's wartime borscht. Bon appetit. It's time to cook what's going to be my lunch for the next few days, and we're making sausages. Oatmeal sausages, to be exact. But first we need to make a healthy salad, which is going to accompany my lunches and my dinner. The recipe of which is coming from this book here.
Eating for victory.
So we're going to be making a celery, beetroot, and blanched cabbage salad. I thought the whole blanching of the cabbage element sounded interesting. So for this recipe, you will need 1 to 1.5 pounds of cabbage, a pint of boiling water, a cup of shredded beetroot, 1 cup of finely sliced celery, 1 tablespoon of finely chopped onion or leek, salt and pepper. And then it advises to serve a salad dressing on the side. We'll make that later though. So let's get cooking. So I've already prepped the ingredients. We have a pound of red cabbage, some finely sliced onion. It only called for 1 tablespoon. I think that's probably 2 tablespoons worth. Nah, it'll be okay. 1 cup of finely sliced celery, and I just went ahead and shredded 1 whole beetroot. So all I really need to do at this stage is blanch the cabbage for 2 minutes. Okay, so the water was on a rolling boil because it was on a different burner. I've just switched it so you can get a better angle, but rest assured, this water is plenty hot enough. So I'm just going to pour in the cabbage now. Whack the lid on and set my timer for 2 minutes. Once the 2 minutes are up, I'm going to drain it and run it under cold water just to prevent it from cooking any further. And this tray here was just some breadcrumbs that I was browning in the oven for our sausages later. I think I took them as far as they could go without burning. I'm sure they'll be fine. Okay, so the cabbage is done and I'm going to prepare this according to the instructions in the book. So get your salad bowl. This one here was given to my parents on their wedding day in the early 70s, and Mum has since passed it down to me. It was made in Japan and this series is called Aquarius. First we need to empty the cabbage into the bowl and then form a ring around the edges. Next we need to mix in our beetroot, celery and onion. Just stir this all together. I should have done this in a bigger bowl. I just can't be bothered with the extra dishes. We also need to season this with some salt and pepper. Maybe a teaspoon of salt. Now I need to pile this in the center of the blanched cabbage. And maybe finish it off with a couple of parsley leaves. So there we have it. What a colourful dish that turned out to be. Alright, let's make a simple salad dressing to accompany this. So there are a few recipes for salad dressings on the very next page after the salad recipe. And out of the 3, I think we're going to go for the thin salad dressing. So for this dressing, you will need half a teaspoon of mustard. We're going to live a little and use a whole teaspoon. Half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, pinch of pepper, 2 tablespoons of milk, and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. I'm just going to make it in this mug. Okay, so I've got about half a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of sugar, some cracked pepper, 2 tablespoons of milk, a teaspoon of mustard, and a tablespoon of vinegar. Just give this a little whisk. It really didn't make much, of course, but if I like it, I can just make more. All right, let's taste test. That's actually really good. I am just going to add a little bit more salt in it because it is quite sweet. I probably just added a 1/4 teaspoon. That is lovely. So now it's time to make the oatmeal sausages, the recipe of which is coming from
Marguerite Patton's Feeding the Nation.
So, for this recipe, you will need 2 tablespoons of chopped onion or leek, half an ounce of cooking fat or dripping, 4 ounces of oatmeal. Now, generally speaking, whenever I have oats in the cupboard, I just call it oatmeal. That is until I started cooking wartime recipes, because I'm pretty sure that 90% of the time, when a recipe calls for oatmeal, they mean oatmeal, so ground oats. And in this recipe in particular, I'm pretty sure they're not referring to whole oats. So I just went ahead and ground 4 ounces of oats into a coarse powder. Moving on, you will also need half a pint of water, 2 teaspoons of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 2 ounces of chopped meat or sausage or bacon, and some browned breadcrumbs. Now, I've never made sausages before, and if I'm being completely honest, I have a feeling this recipe is going to be a bit of a bitch, but there's only one way to find out. So let's get cooking. Okay, so I'm just melting half an ounce of margarine in the pot. Next, we just need to add the onion and cook it until it's softened up. So that was 2 tablespoons of onion. Next, we need to work in the oatmeal a little bit before we start gradually adding the water. So that's 4 ounces in there. I guess you just want to try and make sure it's all coated in the fat. Now we're just going to gradually start adding the water. This is half a pint, which is approximately 284 mils. Just going to start slowly. Some more. And the rest of it. I feel like I'm making savory porridge at the moment, which I only tried for the first time this year, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I cooked it in some butter, water, a bit of onion, a bit of salt, pepper, mustard, and a little bit of cheese, and it was really, really good. So I've just turned the heat down a little bit. We basically just need to cook this down for about 10-15 minutes, but to make sure we give it as much flavor as possible, I'm going to add the meat now. Now, I'm using 2 ounces of real bacon. I know, shock horror, right? This was 2 rashers. I did actually try to buy some of that plant-based bacon that I bought at the start of the year, or fakin as I like to call it. Back in January, it was $8 for 4 slices. And when I went to go and buy it again recently, it was $12 for 4 slices. I don't think so. So I just bit the bullet and bought the real stuff. Now this is coming along quite nicely. I'm just gonna add some seasonings next. So about a teaspoon of salt, some pepper, and give that a stir. It smells really good, but this is supposed to make 8 sausages. I think they're going to be very small sausages. Now, I'm sure that most of you who are familiar with British World War II rationing will know that sausages were not actually rationed. However, they were considered to be a bit of a joke considering how little meat was actually in them. I mean, this does look like sausage mince, doesn't it? Oatmeal is just so versatile, isn't it? It's such a great way to extend meals and ingredients. All right, I'm happy with that. It's been about 10 minutes. So now I need to spread this onto a plate and allow it to cool down before we roll it into sausage shape. Before we roll it into sausage shape. Before we roll it into sausage shapes. Try saying that 10 times. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this onto a plate. Make sure you get everything out of the pot. Just try and flatten that down so it cools evenly and quicker. It's very sticky. I'm just gonna use my hands. Ow, it's hot! Holy crap. Okay, so our sausage meat is prepared. I'm just gonna cheat and whack this in the freezer to cool down. And while I'm waiting, I have a mountain load of dishes that I need to get done. See you in a moment. Okay, it's cooled down enough to handle. So next we're supposed to divide this and roll it into 8 sausages, cover them in breadcrumbs, and then fry them. But I've had an idea. I have yet to use my 1 weekly egg ration. Seeing how we're gonna be coating these in breadcrumbs anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and properly crumb them with the flour, the egg, and the breadcrumbs before frying them. But first, I guess we need to see how easy this is going to be to form into sausages. Okay, that's actually not too bad. It is very much like a dough. However, if I turn this into 8 sausages, they're going to be tiny. So I'm just going to make 4. I'm actually surprised at how easy that was. I have to say, these smell really good because of the bacon. Look, Mom, I'm making sausages. Oh my god, you guys, I made sausages. I'm actually so chuffed with how these turned out. All right, let's crumb them. Okay, so I just whisked the egg and I thinned it out with just a dash of milk. Let's get our first sausage. Coat it in some flour. Make sure you get the ends. Roll it in the egg wash. Make sure it all gets covered, smothered, and what-othered. Shake off the excess. And then roll it in our browned breadcrumbs. God, I can't wait to try these. These are going to be so delicious. One down. Done. Now it's time to fry them. Now I'm definitely going to keep this. I think I might actually just quickly scramble it and have it on some toast or something. But first, the sausages. Okay, so I've just heated up some oil in the pan and we're going to gently place these in. It's looking like I haven't got much space left on the memory card and I can't be bothered transferring anything at the moment, so I'll see you when these are finished. The sausages are done. Now one of them did break, but that's fine because this will be the piece that I taste test shortly. But first, there's one more thing I need to make before we give these a whirl. I thought it might be nice to make some kind of dipping sauce for our sausages, and while flipping through my favorite.
Food facts for the kitchen front.
I came across a recipe for a celery relish, which I thought sounded interesting. For this recipe, you will need equal quantities of raw apple, preferably red-skinned, I used a pink lady, and raw celery. I ended up using 2 full stalks, including the leaves, both chopped and shredded. Then we need to soak it in a dressing, which was made up of 2 parts oil, 1 part vinegar, salt, pepper, and enough dry mustard to impact a hot flavor. Marinate long enough to absorb the dressing and serve as an accompaniment. It's 2 in the morning. As an accompaniment. And serve as an accompaniment to less flavored foods such as sliced cold meats. Now, to save time, because I've only got 6 minutes left on the card, I've gone ahead and prepped everything, including making the dressing. I used 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 1.5 tablespoons of vinegar, some salt, pepper, and just a little bit of mustard powder. I'm not keen on it being super hot. So once again, let's get cooking. So I've got my grated apple here. It looks brown and gross because I grated this hours ago. I've got my finely chopped celery, which included the leaves. So I'm just gonna add that. Mix this all together. Add the dressing. Give that a stir. Now, this is a very thick relish. So I think I'm actually going to cheat just a little bit and give this a whiz in my little food mill. Now I didn't add it all because I do want it to be a little bit chunky, but I've probably added about 2/3 of it to the food mill. You know what? I think I am gonna add all of it in. I think that's more like a relish consistency. All right, guys, it's finally time to taste test. So excited. Okay, so after 5 hours of filming in the kitchen, 2 massive loads of dishes, we have 4 oatmeal and bacon sausages, a very colorful blanched cabbage salad with beetroot, celery, and onion, a tiny bit of salad dressing, and a red apple and celery relish. So I'm just going to create a little taste tester plate for myself. A little bit of the relish, and we'll get some of the salad as well. I want to try the salad without the dressing first, and then we'll see how we go with that one. All right, let's do this. Okay, first up, I need to try this sausage. That is delicious. It has a really nice aftertaste as well. The texture is quite soft, however, there is a bit of crunch there because I crumbed it with the egg and the flour. That is so yummy. The bacon flavor is definitely present, but it's not overwhelming. Okay, next I want to try the red apple and celery relish. Oh, that is really refreshing. That is properly nice. I could literally just sit down and eat that whole thing with a spoon quite happily. Perfect for warm summer nights, which, much to my dismay, it is summer here in Melbourne again. I hate the summer. Now I'm gonna try the sausage with the relish. Pork and apple should be a good flavor combination, right? Let's do it. You guys, this is my new favorite wartime dish. Go and make the sausages, make the relish as well, and thank me later. I mean, my plan was to have 1 sausage with some salad for the next 4 days. I don't think I can wait that long. Anyways, we've still got more to taste. Just wanna make sure I've got a bit of everything. The onion is really coming through strong. The flavors aren't as bold as the sausage and the relish, but it's still really nice and again, refreshing. Let's try it with a little bit of our dressing. Put a little bit of a spoonful on here. All right. You could easily eat this without the dressing, but it just helps to give it that little bit of an extra lift. I'm so freaking happy right now. Cannot recommend all of those recipes enough. Well, friends, I've accidentally done it again. It's currently 2:30 in the morning and I have to work tomorrow. So, signing off for now. I'll see you for our mystery dinner. But not before I go and eat the rest of that freaking sausage. It's dinner time. Remember back to when I made the pea pod soup and I said this? Now I can't say too much about this yet, but there is something in the pipeline that's going to make eating pea pod soup feel like I'm floating on a cloud of fairy floss and stuffing myself with all of my favorite pizza. Well, that time has come. Now I'm sure you've already noticed that on the thumbnail for this video, the dinner section was pixelated. I did that for two reasons. Number one, to create a little bit of mystery and intrigue. And number two, I didn't want anyone to be particularly discouraged from clicking on the video. However, if this is not your thing, I won't be offended. Believe me when I say it's definitely not my thing either. But in the spirit of scarcity and wartime cooking, today I'm going to be cooking something that I have never cooked with before, and to the best of my recollection, I've only had it once in my entire life. I was very young and I don't remember anything about it because I have blocked that memory. So, why all the mystery? What are we making for dinner? Well, for tonight's dinner, we're going to be making, drumroll please. Yes, that's right. We're going to be making curried tripe.
Mom, can you pick me up? I'm scared.
Just gonna need a moment, okay? We're approaching the end of the challenge, and I guess I just wanted to push myself just that little bit harder to try things that I'm not familiar with and certainly not comfortable with.
Excellent. Excellent attitude.
Today's recipe for said curried tripe can be found in this book here.
Food facts for the kitchen front.
Alright, so for this recipe, you will need 1 pound of dressed and cooked tripe. I don't really know what dressed means, but we'll get more into the tripe shortly. 2 to 3 finely minced spring onions, salt and pepper, a dessert spoon of curry powder, a dessert spoon of flour, 1 ounce of dripping or margarine, 3/4 of a pint of vegetable boilings or water. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with tripe, it is the lining of one of the cow's 4 stomachs. Delicious. You know, I think if you're going to eat meat, I'm all for nose to tail eating. But I do confess, I'm not very adventurous when it comes to any kind of offal. So this is going to take a while because we need to cook the tripe for 1.5 hours. So, let's get cooking. I cannot even begin to describe how absolutely revolting this smells. I bought this from the butchers at the Queen Victoria Market. It was in a sealed bag wrapped up in my fridge, and when I took it out before, my eyes literally started watering and I started dry heaving. That's how bad it was. Now, I have done a little bit of research on how to prepare this. Back in the 40s, most likely they would have had to have cleaned and prepared the tripe from scratch. Now, while the butcher has already cleaned this, there is no escaping that smell. The texture of it, it's almost like squid. Now, I am not taking any chances with this. I have rinsed the hell out of it. I also gave it a bath of bicarb soda and vinegar, mainly to try and help with the horrific smell, but also that does help to clean it a little bit more as well. I'm also taking it one step further, and I'm going to parboil this for about 10 minutes because a lot of the time the butchers will actually bleach it, and given the fact that we need to cook this for like an hour and a half, I just want to make really sure that none of those chemicals are going to be in the finished product. So I'm just going to boil this for 10 minutes, then I'm going to drain it, refill the pot, and then put it on again for another hour and a half, I guess, until it's tender. I'm actually so nervous that I'm not going to be able to get rid of the smell of tripe from my apartment for weeks. Time will tell, I guess. Okay, so I've just parboiled it for 15 minutes. You guys, the smell is unbearable. I apologize if it's louder than usual and you can hear all of that traffic in the background. I have to keep the balcony door open while I'm cooking this to try and get the horrific smell out of the apartment. I've also overloaded my oil diffuser and I've turned that on for the 6-hour setting. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is under a pound. I did ask for a pound. I think this is closer to 300 grams instead of 450, and I'm totally fine with that. I just want to cut this up a little bit. There's also a few nasty pieces that I want to get rid of. This bit here. And there's also a bit in here. Just a tiny bit in here. I definitely want to get rid of this bit. Just basically chopping off any gnarly brown bits. Oh God, the texture of this is incomparable. I will say though that even after just 15 minutes of parboiling it, it has softened up quite significantly. I just found a hole. Oh my God.
What the f is that?
What is it?
Oh, I'm just chopping this whole piece off. I'm not even playing. Get away from me. Oh, I feel like I'm on the brink of a panic attack right now. I'm not even kidding. Like I'm partly shaking. Why do I subject myself to this? I'm not even going to open that up and show you what's inside. It's vial. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. I'm just inspecting it to make sure there's nothing else that I've missed. I'm just gonna chop this into finer pieces now. I actually cannot guarantee that I'm going to eat this. I'm just putting it out there to be completely honest. I'm feeling better about this pile here, but that, oh my god. I'm so glad I parboiled it first. I feel a bit silly now because I've got this huge pot of water for this much tripe. It is what it is. I'm going to wrap this in some foil and put it in my bin, and then I'm emptying my bin straight away. Oh my god. I know I'm probably being such a baby about this, but it really is disturbing me. All right, I'm just going to chuck this into the pot and I'm going to do a quick cleanup and take my bins out. Okay, so the tripe is currently on the stove. I'm not sure if I've just become used to the smell or if the fact that I cleaned out the water and refilled it helped to eliminate some of that odor a little bit. I can still smell it when I go right up to the pot. It doesn't seem to be flooding my apartment as much, I think. So far, this has been a genuinely disturbing experience for me. My eyes were watering, I dry heaved at one point, and I could literally feel my hands shaking when I was cutting it earlier. Now I know that I probably ended up wasting 1 to 2 ounces of that tripe before, but believe me, if you saw what I saw, there was a moment where I opened up one of the folds and embedded inside was some kind of thick, brown sludge. And at that moment, I literally felt like Heather Donahue from the Blair Witch Project when she's running through the woods at night screaming for her life.
Oh my god, what the f*** is that? What the f*** is that?
There's probably some people out there screaming at me to just get over it. And I know, I should take my own advice and keep calm and carry the on. But it is my first time dealing with tripe. Now, as I've said a million times before, I do prefer a plant-based diet. And I'd probably even go as far to say that I've eaten more meat this year on this diet than I have in recent years, because I do want to experiment and get a proper taste of history. However, that being said, I always feel like such a hypocrite when I'm eating meat, because I know that I'm so completely far removed from the sad and messy reality of what it is to slaughter an animal to feed ourselves. You know, I just go to the supermarket, or in this case the butcher, where everything is so neatly packaged and prepared for me and I don't really have to think about it. Now, this is not to lecture anyone on the realities of eating meat. Of course, it's everyone's choice. You know, farmers and people that live on homesteads that raise and slaughter their own animals have my total respect. I personally don't think I could do it unless it was a life or death situation. And even then, I think there are some circumstances where I choose death. Anyways, let's move on because I need to make a side dish to accompany my delicious curried tripe. Now, the tripe recipe suggests to serve it on a bed of mashed potatoes, which is initially what I was going to do until I came across a recipe for deviled potatoes, which also uses curry powder, so I thought that would be a great dish to go alongside this. Once again, this recipe is coming from
Food facts for the kitchen front.
So, for deviled potatoes, you will need 1 pound of cooked potatoes, 1 level dessert spoon of curry powder, a level dessert spoon of flour, a salt spoon of dry mustard, a shake of cayenne pepper, some salt, and a little fat for frying. Now, the recipe does call for cooked potatoes, so I just went ahead and roasted some in the oven. I just peeled them and then covered them with a little bit of olive oil and roasted them for about an hour. They were just in the oven long enough to make sure that they were cooked through. So, let's get cooking. Okay, so I've got 6 roasted potatoes here, and now I just need to cut them into thin slices because we're going to pan fry them. So I'm just going to get all of these chopped up, and then we're going to start pan frying our spices. I'm not sure if roasting them and then slicing them was the right decision. I think next time I'll just slice them first because a lot of them did break apart, but it's going to be fine. Okay, now we need to start frying off our spices. So I'm sorry, it's not the best view because we have our tripe boiling away. We've still got half an hour to go on that. So I just need to fry off a dessert spoon worth of curry powder to bring out the flavor. Cook it out a little bit. That'll do. And some cayenne as well. And I'm hoping and praying that the curry powder is now going to mask the barnyard smell that is my apartment. So we're just going to heat this up on a low heat for a few minutes just to bring out the flavor. Then empty it onto a plate and add our flour. So the curry powder's done. I'm just going to add a dessert spoon of flour. This is just wholemeal. And just a little bit of mustard powder. Not much. Give this a little bit of a mixeroo. I forgot we're supposed to add salt as well, so I've got about a teaspoon there. And now we just want to coat each slice in the spice mix. Hope I have enough. Okay, Okay, so I didn't have quite enough spice mix to finish off the last remnants of the potato. But that's fine, I'll just eat those on their own. I'm sure they'll be delicious. All right, now it's time to fry these babies. Okay, so the good news here is that after an hour and a half, the tripe is finally done. So I'm just heating a little olive oil in the pan now. I'm just going to start frying these potatoes off. Dip my fingers in the freaking oil. Now I'm just going to quickly fry these off in batches, but I am going to have to turn my exhaust fan on, and it's so freaking loud it sounds like a NASA rocket launching. So I'll spare you the grief of trying to listen to me talk over the top of that, and I'll see you when these are done. Look how golden delicious these are. They smell really good, but surprisingly, not really detecting much of a curry scent to them. I can tell some of them are really crispy. This would have been such a treat back then. Anything fried always is, right? I think I used just over an ounce worth of cooking oil. Now the recipe states to finish them off, we need to sprinkle them with some vinegar. So I'm just going to pour some into the cap, sprinkle it as best as I can. I mean, I'm a sucker for vinegar. The more the better. You're supposed to serve these straight away while they're still hot, but I still have to finish cooking the tripe. Speaking of, look how little we ended up with. Thankfully, the smell of frying off curry has replaced the barnyard smell, but we'll get to this in a moment. First, I need to test one of these. I mean, they're essentially just potato chips. Anyways, let's give one a go. Whoa, okay, they've definitely got a kick to them. Super yum. They're fantastic, especially finishing them off with the vinegar. Works a treat. However, I'm really not getting a curry kick at all. The heat is there from the mustard and the cayenne pepper, but I think I better try another one just to be sure. Oh my god, they're so good, you guys. It's gonna be so hard for me not to demolish this entire plate. Woo! Oh yes, they've got a real kick to them. Oh, that just cleared out the sinus. I think if I make these again, and I probably will, I will definitely up the ante on the curry powder. But otherwise, roasted fried deviled potatoes, I'm not gonna grumble at that. Okay, so it's time to finish making this curried tripe. Now I'm just going to use the same pan because it essentially had all of the same flavors that I'm going to be using to make the curry tripe anyway. Plus, we won't be wasting any of this leftover fat. So I've just chopped up 3 spring onions, which we're now going to fry. The recipe actually says to fry these until they're brown, which I've never done for spring onions. Next, we're going to add a dessert spoon of curry powder and a dessert spoon of flour. Let's mix these up. This actually smells so good. Next, we're supposed to add 3/4 of a pint of water or vegetable boilings. I don't have any vegetable boilings at the moment, and I also don't have that much tripe, so I'm not going to add the full amount of water. Or maybe I will. I'll just start with this and see how we go. Actually, now that I think of it, the recipe does state I need to let the tripe simmer for another 20 minutes in this sauce, and the tripe's going to absorb all of this flavor. So perhaps I will add some more water after all. Okay, I'm just going to bring this back up to the boil and then add the tripe. Okay, it's now or never, guys. Oh, there's a big chunk there that I'm really not looking forward to eating. So there are 4 tripe recipes in this book. The first one is parsley tripe, which requires carrots, parsley, salt and pepper, a bay leaf, a dash of vinegar, a teacupful of milk, and basically cook it the same way we have this one. Then we have stewed tripe with celery, which requires 2 pounds of tripe, the recipe of which is very, very plain. It's basically just some celery, some flour, some milk, salt and pepper. Then of course we've got the curry tripe. The last one is stuffed tripe, which requires 1 pound of dressed tripe, 4 ounces of breadcrumbs, 2 rashers of bacon, a little bit of milk, some powdered sage, and some chopped spring onions. So out of the 4 recipes available, I feel like I've definitely made the right decision. This was the lesser of 4 evils because I feel like it's going to have the most flavor. So I'm just going to season this with some salt and pepper now and let it finish off for the next 15 minutes. And then this whole tripe nightmare will reach its climax when it's time to taste test. See you in a moment. Okay, after all of that, this is how much curried tripe we've ended up with. I'm definitely keeping this in its own separate bowl, just on the off chance that I actually won't be able to eat it, because believe me, I don't think I have dreaded anything more. Right now, that pea pod soup that I made a few months back is looking pretty damn good. So the idea for dinner was to have some curried tripe with some deviled potatoes, accompanied with some of the blanched cabbage salad that we made last night, which is currently in the fridge. I had lots of it today for lunch. It was absolutely gorgeous, but I don't think I can delay this any longer. Oh God, I'm looking at it and the texture of it, it's just, ugh. All right, gotta be brave. I don't want to do this. Oh God, it's still there. I mean, it's a really strong curry smell, but you can definitely still smell the tripe. Oh God. Oh God, even just trying to get my fork into it. Oh, I know this is a psychological barrier that I just have to push through, but I actually feel like I'm on the brink of tears right now. All right, look, if you're gonna do it, Jake, go big or go home. All right, are you ready? Oh, I just have to do it. All right. Oh my God. I can't do it. I can't do it. I actually can't do it. I can't swallow it. I can't swallow it. There's still so much in my mouth, I can't swallow it. Why can't I swallow it? Oh my God. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna f***ing die. Oh my God. Okay. Where do I even begin? First of all, that is freaking spicy and very salty. That's my fault. But the texture, oh, I really struggled to swallow that. With as much spice and seasoning as that has, it still tastes like Jeffrey Dahmer came over and we went to a barnyard for dinner. I'm sorry, I know that's probably wrong, but that's just how I feel.
You dirty bird. How could you?
It tastes just like it smells. For the first time ever, I don't think I can eat that. I honestly can't get over that texture. Shall we try some more? As much as I don't want to do this, I'm going to try one more piece because I feel like if I do, I'm going into it fully informed and I know what to expect. God. I'm just trying a little piece this time. Oh God. There's honestly nothing good that I can say about that, except if my life depended on it and say I hadn't eaten in days and it was either eat this or go hungry, I probably would eat it. I think most people would. Oh my God. Oh, there's little chunks that just keep on coming back to surprise me. I'm going to rinse this out with some tea. Thank God I've got these deviled potatoes. Oh my God, thank God. Now this is something I can get behind. We did it, you guys. I faced my fear. I've tried something I've never done before and never will again. I know this is wasteful and I genuinely feel terrible about this, but I will not be eating the rest of this. I just can't. I'm sorry.
Please. I can't listen to your attempts to try and justify yourself.
Anyways, that concludes the dinner segment of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't. I mean, it wasn't all bad, of course. We've got our deviled potatoes. Everything is trial and error. Good night for now. Now, in case it wasn't immediately clear, I will never be cooking or eating tripe ever again. It's actually kind of strange, like looking at that footage after I've edited it, which was only filmed a week ago. It's like, I know it happened because I'm watching it, but at the same time, my mind has already started to block the whole experience. You win some, you lose some. All right, let's break down some costs. So the Wartime breakfast borscht came in at a total of $12.85 to make. The stock was free, which helped. I actually got 10 servings out of that, so that came to a total of $1.28 per serving, which is pretty good. Moving on to lunch, the blanched cabbage salad. For the salad dressing that we made, I just allocated $2 for that because I did make it 3 more times. So including the dressing, that came to a total of $6.50. I got 7 lunches out of that, so that came to 92 cents per serving. The oatmeal and bacon sausages came to a total of $4.62, which means they cost $1.15 each. And I think it was worth every single cent. As I mentioned before, that is my new favorite wartime dish, accompanied with the celery and apple relish, of course. Speaking of, the celery relish only cost $2.80. $2.83 to make. So quite economical, but I highly recommend bulking up the ingredients to make a lot more of it. The same goes for the sausages. In fact, I've already decided that on New Year's Eve, that is going to be my final wartime Russian recipe dinner. And I'm very excited. Moving on to the curried tripe. This dish cost me $6.47 to make, which was quite literally money down the drain because I only had 2 mouthfuls of it before I tossed it out. Last but not least, the deviled potatoes. These cost $4.12 to make. Again, worth every penny, guys. Go and make them. They are absolutely delicious. So the total cost of today's video came to $37.39. Considering how much food we made, I think that's pretty good. So it's time to wrap things up. It's currently Christmas Eve, and I really want to get this video out tonight. I was really hoping to get out the wartime Christmas episode that I had planned, but I just ran out of time, and I thought I'd rather spend the time that I did have polishing up this one rather than putting out 2 very rushed episodes. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is incorporate the Christmas video into what is going to be the final video of the year. I can't believe we're at this stage already. This year has freaking flown by. Where has all the time gone? Wishing you all a safe and happy Christmas. And if this is not your holiday, I hope you're getting to spend some quality time with family and friends creating beautiful new memories together. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, keep calm and try the tripe recipe. I dare you.
Oh, I don't think things are quite that desperate.